Hey guys, welcome to another video on the MTG Nerds channel. Today we are finishing the 4 parts of the Chandra versus Teferi Planeswalker decks, and there's quite a bit to talk about on this one. I played a full match, so 2 out of 3 games with these 2 decks, and got to learn the deck more, look through the decks, look for combos, you know, that kind of thing. So after reviewing all the decks, and I'll tell you the outcome of the match at the end. But yeah, so there's quite a bit to talk about on this one. So we're going to start with Chandra. So the very first thing that I noticed was Chandra has a very expensive deck, but there is plenty of mana ramp to help with that. So we have 2 Llanowar Elves, helping you tap for a green, or just helping you pay for a colorless. We have 3 Elfheim Druids, which is tapping for a green as well, and it's also tapping for 2 greens when we get to kick spells. And I'm going to set that over there, because we're going to come back to that. And then we have Marwyn the Neutral. We only have 1 of these, but it's still a very good card whenever another elf enters the battlefield. So all your mana ramp cards are all elves, so it gets +1/+1 counter on Marwyn, and tap to add a forest to your mana pool equal to Marwyn's power. So that's a very good card. And then Gilded Lotus, I didn't actually get this when I was playing any of the games, but it's still good. 5 mana for 3 mana of any one color, so very helpful. And then finally we have Chandra herself helping you with some mana ramp as well. So we have her +1 ability is tap to add 2 mana, and it's also doing 2 damage to target creature to target player. So yeah, so that's helping you that's helping you pay for 2 red in a spell, or some colorless, whatever you need. Alright, and then next, we're going to go to the, some of the removal in the deck is, like, there's very good removal in the deck. So, the Karplusan Hound does 2 damage to target creature or Planeswalker when it attacks, if Chandra is on the board. So that's helping you remove things. And it's a 3/3 for 4, which is not bad. Then we have Pierce the Sky for 2 mana, and it deals 7 damage to target creature with flying. So also good removal. Fiery Intervention, 5 mana. This one's a little bit more expensive, but with the mana ramp, it's not too hard to cast. Fiery Intervention deals 5 damage to target creature, or you can destroy target artifact. So that is helping with removal as well. So before we go on, the decks are decently fast. The Chandra deck is pretty fast because of the mana ramp. So you can get a 5 mana. Like, I had a game where I had a 5 mana creature on the board at turn 3. So yeah, very fast in terms of having big creatures on the board. So, and then we have the kicker spells. So back to Elfheim Druids here. They tap for 2 mana when it comes to kicker. So we have, so this is some of the removal kicker as well. So you can pay 1 red and it deals 2 damage to target creature, or you can pay 5, 4 colorless and a red, and it deals 4 damage to target creature instead. So helping you with some more removal there. And then we have 1 Fight with Fire, 2 and a red, and its kicker is 5 and a red. So in total, 7 and 2 red. Fight with Fire does 5 damage to target creature. If it was kicked, it deals 10 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. And this includes players and planeswalkers. So that's a pretty good removal if you have enough mana to use the kicker ability, which I didn't seem to have a problem with when I was testing the deck. And then we have some of the creature kickers. So starting with shoot, I didn't organize these. Oh yeah, I did. Just kidding. Okay, so Christian Druid is 2 colorless and a green for a 2/3, and its kicker is 4 and a green, so total is 8 mana, 6 and 2 green. But it's expensive, but it gains you 10 life when it enters the battlefield if it was kicked. So, very good if you're in a late game and you're down pretty low on life. Next is 1 Guide to Chronicler, 1 red and 1 colorless for a 1/3, and the kicker is 3 and a red. So when it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. So you can play this, kick it, and then you get some removal back in your hand, or something that I'll show you in a minute. Actually, you know what? Oh yeah, okay. Yep, something I'll show you in a minute. Baloth Gorger, 2 colorless and 2 green for a 4/4. So already 4 for 4, which is 4 for a 4/4, which is pretty good. And then kicker is 4, and it comes in with 3+1/+1 counters on it. So it's a 7/7 for 8 mana. You have 2 of those. So, yeah. And then Grund the Lonely King. This is a very good card when I was playing. 6 mana, 4 and 2 green, and kicker is 3. Without the kicker, it's a 5/5. If it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 5+1/+1 counters. So for 9 mana, it comes in as a 10/10, and whenever it attacks alone, you double the power and toughness, so it can be a 20/20. So, very scary. And if not this deck doesn't have anything that can give it trample, but if you're playing that card in a different deck and you could have like a card that gives it trample, that'd be insane. Gift of Growth, 1 and a green, and the kicker is 2. So this isn't a creature, but untapped target creature, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and if it was kicked, it gets +4/+4 until end of turn. So, some very buff creatures. And then this is what I'm going to show you. So, yeah, Chandra's Outburst. This was very helpful in the deck. It's 3 and 2 red, and it deals 4 damage to your player or planeswalker, so it's already damaging your opponent's planeswalker or your opponent. And then you search your library and or get graveyard, which is very key for this, for a card named Chandra, Bold Pyromancer. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So, very good. I've had this multiple times when I was playing, and I got Chandra out because of it, and I would not have gotten it out if I hadn't got it. So that's it for the combos over on Chandra's side. And moving over to Teferi, there's some crazy combos over here. So we're just gonna start kind of light here. So we have the removal. Gideon's Reproach deals 4 damage to target creature that's attacking or blocking, and it's 1 and a white. So pretty good removal for cheap cost. And then we have 4 Templar Machinations. I still don't know how to pronounce that. 2 colorless and a blue, and it returns target creature to your owner's hand, and if you control an artifact, you draw a card. So that was very helpful when I was playing, because I was able to cycle through my deck while slowing down my opponent. We had 2 Relic Runner. Actually, I'll show you that later. So we'll go to the artifacts. So one thing that was very key and very helpful was Joria's Familiar. For 4 mana, it's a 2/2 flyer, but historic spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and almost everything in this deck is historic, so very helpful. You get 2 of these, but I managed to get one every game, because both these decks are kind of late games, so you draw a lot of cards, and you can cycle through your deck with this card over here, and you can also cycle through your deck with Teferi, and I'll mention that in a minute. So this occurred multiple times when I was playing. So I would put Ajoria's Familiar, and then either the turn after or that turn, I would put in a Sparring Construct for free. And this is also good when, like, right away on your first turn or whatever. When it dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. So I was mostly putting the +1/+1 counters on Joria's Familiar to make it a 3/3. 3/3 flyer, giving it an extra boost to help it stay alive. Then we have 3 Ace Third Glider. This one's not too helpful, but it's still there. It's 2 mana when you have Jora's Familiar. 2 mana, 2/1 flying, and it can't block. But I mean, it is 3 mana without if you don't have this. But still, for 3 mana, it's a flyer, so can't complain too much. 2 Juggernauts. These were very helpful as well. So once again, with that card, only costs 3. Actually costs 4, but with that, it only costs 3. So it's 5/3, and it attacks each combat if able, and it cannot be blocked by walls. Not that there's any walls in Chandra's deck, so that's not really helping you, but still, not bad. 5/3. It's kind of weak on the toughness. It did die rather quickly when I was playing with it, but it did do some damage at the same time. And finally, Teferi's Sentinel. Very helpful. I had this multiple times when I had Teferi on the play. So it turned into a 6/6 because it gets +4/+0. Actually, I'll just read the old card. My bad. So 5 colorless for a 2/6, and as long as you control a Teferi Planeswalker, Teferi Sentinel gets +4/+0. So this was a 6/6 lots of times when I was playing. And with this, like I said, it is 1 colorless cheaper, and that also helps with legendary creatures, and we're gonna go there now. So Niambi, Faithful Healer. So if you had Jora's Familiar, it's only it's only a white and a blue. Even without it, it's only 3, which is still really good in this case. So when Niambi, Faithful Healer enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard, so just like Chandra's Outburst, for a card named Teferi Timebender, reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library like this, shuffle it. So for a 2/2, 3 mana, you don't really use that as a creature. I mean, you still can't. Like, it's definitely a good blocker, a trump blocker, but you mainly use that to get out your Teferi. +2, untap 1 target artifact or creature. So you're untapping. So there's also lots of times when I was doing this. So I had a 6/6, I would attack with it, and then I would untap it during my second main phase. And then, so it's also a blocker. -3, you gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. So just like this, you're helping yourself cycle through your deck for a card you might need. -9, take an extra turn after this one. That was also very helpful. Alright, almost done. So, Relic Runner. 2 mana, 2/1. Relic Runner cannot be blocked if you have cast a historic spell this turn, and with the amount of artifact creatures and some legendary creatures in this deck, there's a lot of times where that thing cannot be blocked. Daring Archaeologist. There's only one of these, but for 4 mana, 3/3, when it enters the battlefield, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. So, there's actually a couple times, I'll explain it in a minute, but whenever you cast a historic spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Daring Archaeologist. So each time you play an artifact or a Niambi Faithful Healer, you're getting a +1/+1 counter. And there's multiple times where I would have Jora's Familiar in play, and then I played Daring Archaeologist, and then, where did I put this? Right here. And then I would have a Sparring Construct in my graveyard. I'd put that into play for free, giving Daring Archaeologist a +1/+1 counter, making it a 4/4. So, pretty good turn when that happens. So that is all. That is the last part of the Teferi versus Chandra Planeswalker deck. Now I know you guys are all wondering which deck is the better deck in my opinion. Based on the matches, actions speak louder than words. Teferi Timebender Planeswalker deck is the winner in my opinion. Reason being, so this is from the matches. The first match, we had 24 life for Chandra at the end, and -5 for Teferi, so that was 1 loss for Teferi. Then the second game, we had -1 for Chandra and 10 for Teferi. And then third match, we had 16 for Teferi and minus 11 for Chandra. So Teferi won 2-1. Not only that, I think Teferi has a lot better combos than Chandra, although Chandra is a decent contender for Teferi, and definitely you can match the two against each other and still have some great fun. I still think that Teferi is somewhat better than Chandra, and yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the 4 parts of this, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.